Picture this. You're invited to dinner at Buckingham Palace. Sounds magical, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Because when Prince Andrew is your host and Ghislaine Maxwell is playing wingwoman, you're not getting a fairy tale dinner. You're getting a front row seat to the most cringe-worthy power play in royal history. And it all ends with the most tone-deaf balcony wave since, well, ever. Welcome back to Royal Cookies, where we serve up the juiciest royal gossip with a side of heart-wrenching humanity. Please remember to subscribe and click on the notifications bell icon, so you will be notified whenever we upload new cookies about the British royal family. Now, before you start thinking I've gone completely mental, this isn't some conspiracy theory cooked up in someone's basement. This is straight from her explosive new book that's just dropped. And honey, the tea is absolutely scalding. We're talking about dinner parties where women felt like sex objects, midnight palace tours, and a balcony moment that would make even the most seasoned royal correspondent cringe into next week. So what happens when you mix royal privilege, dodgy connections, and zero social awareness? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Andrew's dinner party, where the only thing more uncomfortable than the conversation was the seating arrangement. Let's set the scene, shall we? It's another evening at Buckingham Palace, and Andrew has decided to play host with none other than Ghislaine Maxwell as his co-conspirator. Now, if that guest list doesn't immediately send your danger sensors into overdrive, you might want to get them recalibrated. Picture yourself as one of the women invited to this shindig. You walk into the most famous palace in the world, expecting maybe some decent conversation, perhaps a glimpse behind the royal curtain, and instead you find yourself in what can only be described as the world's most expensive and awkward setup. One guest reported that it was clear immediately that I had been brought to the dinner as a sex object, with Andrew sitting next to her on the sofa and kept reaching over to hold my hand. I mean, can you imagine? You're there thinking you're having dinner with royalty, and instead you're getting the full court press from a man who clearly learned his chat-up techniques from a 1970s pickup artist manual. It's like watching someone use a sledgehammer to crack a walnut. Technically it might work, but everyone's going to notice how absolutely wrong it is. Now, you'd think most people would read the room at this point and maybe call it a night. But we're talking about Prince Andrew here, a man whose relationship with social cues makes his relationship with the press look positively charming. So what does our tone-deaf Duke do next? When the woman joked about having a tour of the palace, Andrew obliged, leading her hand in hand through the iconic base of British monarchy. Let's just pause here for a second. This woman makes what any reasonable person would recognize as polite small talk. You know, the kind of throwaway comment you make when conversation gets awkward. And Andrew takes it as a green light for a romantic midnight stroll through the Queen's house. It's like someone saying we should do lunch sometime and you immediately whipping out your calendar app. The sheer audacity of it all is almost impressive. Here's a man walking hand in hand with a clearly uncomfortable dinner guest through corridors where centuries of British history happened, and is treating it like his personal bachelor pad. I bet even the portraits on the walls were judging him. As a joke, he took me out on the balcony and I waved to the non-existent crowd, the woman reported. Let that sink in for a moment. The Buckingham Palace balcony. The same balcony where the royal family appears during jubilees, weddings, and moments of national celebration. The balcony where millions of people have gathered to catch a glimpse of their monarchs throughout history. And Andrew uses it as a prop in what can only be described as the most tone-deaf romantic gesture in royal history. Think about this for a second. You're this woman. You've already clocked that something's not right about this whole evening. And suddenly you find yourself on the balcony, waving to absolutely nobody while Prince Andrew presumably thinks he's being charming. It's like someone taking you to the top of the Empire State Building and asking you to pretend you're King Kong. The symbolism here is just asterisk chef's kiss asterisk. There's Andrew, using one of the most sacred spaces of the British monarchy as his personal pickup location, completely oblivious to how absolutely inappropriate the whole thing is. It's royal privilege weaponized as a chat-up line, and frankly, it's embarrassing for everyone involved. So how do you politely extract yourself from what's essentially become a royal hostage situation disguised as dinner? Well, this woman showed more diplomatic skill than half the Foreign Office. When Andrew suggested going on to a club, she made her excuses and left. And honestly, good for her. Because can you imagine what Andrew's idea of going to a club would have entailed? I'm picturing him requesting Gold by Spandau Ballet while doing that weird royal wave dance hybrid that only exists in nightmares. But here's what makes this whole story even more disturbing. The woman later revealed that Ghislaine procured women like me for Andrew. It was a network. She was on the party circuit and she was bringing Andrew around, meeting young women. Suddenly, this isn't just a story about one awkward dinner party. This is about a systematic pattern of behavior, with Maxwell apparently acting as Andrew's unofficial recruitment officer. The sheer brazenness of it all is staggering. Here's Andrew, using his royal status, his access to one of the world's most famous buildings, and his position of power to create these inappropriate situations. It's privilege abuse on a scale that would make Marie Antoinette blush. Now, before anyone starts thinking this is just one weird evening from years ago that we should all forget about, let's talk about how this fits into the Andrew saga that just keeps on giving. This story comes from a new explosive book called The Rise and Fall of the House of York by Andrew Loney, which is already causing absolute chaos for the Duke. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know if you're Team Sophie or if you think I'm seeing green where there's just good fashion sense. If you're obsessed with royal strategy and environmental impact like I am, make sure you're subscribed to Royal Cookies because we're serving up the most sustainable royal content on YouTube. And remember, in a world full of fast fashion and royal scandals, sometimes the most revolutionary thing you can do is wear your values on your sleeve, preferably in a gorgeous shade of green. Sophie's proving that environmental activism isn't just about what you do, it's about who you become. Until next time, keep munching on those eco-friendly royal cookies.